What would happen in the men and women's Elimination Chamber matches? Well, I'll tell you as WGS-TV reviews Elimination Chamber pay-per-view for 2018. Hey YouTube, are you ready for your hot tag? Because VR is definitely time to work.
Hi, I'm Velvet Sky, and you're watching WGS-TV.
What's up guys, I'm the Russell Gamer. Welcome back to another episode of WGS-TV right here on youtube.com/RussellGamer. WWE was going to set more historical precedents with the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view, with the first ever women's Elimination Chamber match and 7 men in the men's match. And of course, we have to include Ronda Rousey signing her Raw contract and what transpired there. So with that being said, let's talk about Elimination Chamber. The pay-per-view kicked off with the Women's Elimination Chamber match for the Raw Women's Championship, as Alexa Bliss defended the title against Mandy Rose, Sonya Deville, Bayley, Sasha Banks, and Mickie James. The match started with Sonya Deville and Bayley, which was pretty decent, but as expected, Rose would be the next woman in the chamber, giving the advantage to Deville in Absolution basically, and for the next 5 minutes it was just that. Absolution versus Bayley as they worked her over until the next pod opened, which belonged to Sasha Banks, and who evened up the odds at the moment. The first elimination in the match came with Sasha Banks locking the bank statement on Rose. So Rose was not only the first woman eliminated in the Women's Royal Rumble match, but she's now the first woman to be eliminated in the Women's Elimination Chamber match. Mickie James was next to be released from the pods and was pretty much on fire, taking it to both Banks and Bayley. As James was climbing up the chamber, Bayley went up after her, only to be sent crashing down to the chamber floor, which was padded by the way, just saying. The next elimination would come as James would fly off the pod and connect with a seated Senton to Deville, essentially eliminating Absolution from the match. However, her momentum wouldn't last very long as Bayley connected with a Bayley to belly to James to eliminate her from the chamber. As it came time for Alexa's pod to open, she closed it and opened it up from the other side and attempted to flee from Banks and Bayley, and went from pod to pod to avoid them until she got caught by Banks, who at first looked like she was going to help Bayley up to the pod, but instead kicked her down to the chamber floor. Bayley would end up connected with an avalanche Bayley to belly on Banks, but got caught in an Oklahoma roll. I wonder how many of these new wrestling fans knew that, to eliminate Bayley from the chamber. Banks and Bliss took it to the outside of the chamber and attempted to kick Bliss's head off, but would end up missing and getting her leg caught, and Bliss took her down with a modified neckbreaker. Bliss climbed up a pod and would hit Twisted Bliss onto Banks, who rolled it into a bank statement but was quickly countered. Banks had a thought of going up to the pod by the corner turnbuckle, but would get caught by Bliss, who struck with a Hangman's DDT on Banks to pick up the win and retain the Raw Women's Championship. Personal opinion, the Women's Elimination Chamber match lived up to the hype and expectations. I enjoyed it, and to me it was a great way to start off the show. 3.85 out of 5. Up next, the Raw Tag Team Championships were on the line, as the Bar defended the titles against Titus Worldwide. I kind of figured WWE would do this just based on Titus Worldwide's victory over the Bar this past week on Raw. The action would start before the bell as the Bar went on the attack to catch Titus Worldwide off guard, but wouldn't have the advantage long as Titus and Apollo were able to fend them off, sending them to the outside, and Apollo would hit a tope suicido on them. However, as the bell rang, their momentum wouldn't last very long as the Bar quickly regained control and worked over Apollo, targeting the left arm. Corey Graves would make an inane statement saying something along the lines that the times that the Bar lost the championships was due to something that was served in catering, which was laughable at best. Apollo would eventually make the hot tag to Titus, who went on a tear, taking out the champions and came near close to winning the championships as the clash with the clash of the Titus on to Sheamus, but the pin was broken up by Cesaro. Apollo would tag himself back into the match and connect with a somersault to Cesaro and then a crossbody to Sheamus, but didn't get the pin. Apollo attempted a standing moonsault, but Sheamus countered with the knees to the outside. Cesaro sent Titus into the ring post, eliminating him from the match. Apollo struck with an enziguri to Sheamus, but Cesaro tagged himself back in, as the finish of the match was the Bar connecting with a double white noise to Apollo to pick up the win and retain the Raw Tag Team titles. Personal opinion, this match was a bit better than what I was expecting it to be, honest. 3.25 out of 5. Up next, it was Nia Jax taking on the Empress of Tomorrow, Asuka, with the stipulation being that if Nia won her match, then she would be added to the Raw Women's Championship match at WrestleMania. The match would start out as most of Nia's matches go, with her basically dominating and using her size and power to her advantage. Asuka early on would try to rely on her strikes and submissions, even attempting the cross-arm breaker. Am I the only person who knows the proper name of this move? But to no avail. Asuka's signature hip attack would even get countered by Nia by stepping out of the way and grabbing her hair. Asuka attempted a knee bar but couldn't bring Nia down, and Nia countered just by picking up Asuka like she was a small child. Now, if you guys think back to their first encounter in NXT for the NXT Women's Championship, Asuka kicked Nia's head off as the finish. They would do that again, but this time it wouldn't be the finish as Nia kicked out of it. I wonder if anyone else picked up on that. Asuka eventually locked on the cross-arm breaker, but Nia would counter by standing up and tossing Asuka into the corner. She then grabbed the Empress of Tomorrow and screamed at her that she was going to WrestleMania and would attempt a powerbomb, but Asuka countered into a victory roll to pick up the win and stay undefeated. And Nia, being the sore loser that she was, attacked Asuka from behind and wiped her out on the outside of the ring. Personal opinion, I enjoy any match and any time I get to see Asuka work. I'm wondering if they had Nia attack Asuka that way to possibly give her an injury angle of sorts to work towards WrestleMania. Just a thought. 3.35 out of 5. Up next, it was Bray Wyatt taking on Woken Matt Hardy, and the match would start out as weird as ever. Wyatt appeared in the ring, but Hardy disappeared, and we would hear him over the mic singing Brother Nero's hit of Obsolete over and over again, and then Hardy appeared out of nowhere and attacked Wyatt. The match would continue to get weirder and weirder, and of course I'll elaborate on what I mean. One of Wyatt's signature moves, or taunts of sorts, is when Wyatt looks back from the corner upside down like he's possessed, and instead of being freaked out, Hardy encouraged his Woken Warriors to stand up and applaud Wyatt for having incredible flexibility, and the reaction Wyatt had was indeed pretty entertaining. However, it wouldn't be long before the Eater of Worlds would gain control of the match, hitting several of his signatures, including the Uranagi Slam and the back Senton combination. At one point on the outside, it appeared that Wyatt was going to execute the Uranagi again to Hardy, but this time into the steel steps, but Hardy quickly countered it. Hardy would finally strike with the Twist of Fate to pick up the win. Personal opinion, this match was every bit as weird as I thought it was going to be. Now the question remains if Wyatt will fade away and classify himself as obsolete. 3.25 out of 5. Now it was time for Ronda Rousey to sign her Raw contract and become an official member of Monday Night Raw. Triple H and Stephanie did a really nice job building her up, and all things considered, it was a monumental signing. And I love the fact that Triple H even threw in that she would be competing at WrestleMania, but not in a title match. You can also tell it was an emotional moment for Rousey, considering that she was making her dream of being a WWE superstar a reality, and wanted to do good for the fans by earning their respect, and do good for the name she was given by her hero, Roddy Piper. However, there were still fans that were still skeptical about considering, all things considered, she was getting a mixed reaction from them. Kurt Angle, however, is starting to slip in his promos, and I just don't know why either. It could be intentional or accidental. I'm referring to when Kurt slipped when referencing what happened with the three of them in WrestleMania 31, but 21 was what came out first, but Kurt did correct himself. Triple H passed it off as Kurt recovering from the flu, and proceeded to escort him out of the ring, but not before getting in one more line, as Stephanie saying that she told him in his office that Rousey was garbage and she could take her. The former Bantamweight champion would get in Steph's face about it, but was separated by the Game, who ended up going through a table in the ring, courtesy of the new Rowdy one. Stephanie would then slap Rousey in the face, and Rousey responded by staring at Steph, which scared her out of the ring. Rousey then proceeded to sign her contract. Personal opinion, I respect the emotional moment and tribute Rousey had in her promo about Roddy Piper. The spot she had with Triple H putting him through the table, and Rousey was able to start utilizing an intimidation factor, which is something I would like to see them do with her as they develop her gimmick further. 3.15 out of 5. Now just don't put her in a kilt and have her be the new host of Piper's Pit. Finally, it was time for the men's Elimination Chamber match, with the winner becoming the new #1 contender for the Universal Championship at WrestleMania. The first four people in the pods were Elias, who won the right to go into the chamber last, Braun Strowman, John Cena, and Roman Reigns, and the three who started were The Miz, Finn Balor, and Seth Rollins. Miz would attempt an alliance first with Rollins, who turned him down, and then with Balor, who also turned him down. However, Balor and Rollins would team up and take it to The Miz, and as soon as The Miz was out of the way, Balor and Rollins dissolved said alliance and started taking it to each other. The first person released from the pods was John Cena, who would start a face-to-face confrontation with Rollins, and after exchanging some words with each other, Cena would attempt to go Super Cena on Rollins with the shoulder tackles, but Rollins would counter the Proto-Bomb attempt. However, it would not deter the former 16-time champion, as he would deliver a double 5-knuckle shuffle to both Rollins and Miz. Cena would also show off his strength and attempted a double attitude adjustment to Rollins and Balor, but Balor would end up escaping, and Rollins countered by landing on his feet and striking with an enziguri. After a double superplex, which left all 4 men down on the mat, Roman Reigns would be the next person to be released from the pods, and considering the circumstances at the time, would have a small advantage until The Miz attacked Reigns from behind, sending him into Rollins. One thing I did like was Miz's roundabout it kicks to the other 4 men who were down, and would go for the big kick on Reigns, who countered with a wicked lariat to the Intercontinental Champion. The next person to be released from the pods was Braun Strowman, to a chant of "Get these hands" from the crowd, and would have a stare down with Reigns, much to the delight of the crowd, and it wouldn't take Strowman long to go on a tear and take it to the other men in the match. Miz would attempt to flee from Strowman by scaling the chamber up to the top of a pod, and Strowman pursued him, and how impressive was that? Not only being able to scale the chamber as fast as he did, but sending Miz off of the pod into the other 4 men in the match. The first elimination came with Strowman power slamming Miz to send him packing from the chamber match. The time came for Elias to enter the chamber, but instead closed his spot, and considering that Strowman was staring him down, it was a smart move. All the men in the match would gang up on Strowman as they would deliver a double shield bomb of sorts, and then they would start hitting their signatures on Strowman. First Cena with the AA, then it was Reigns with the spear, Rollins was next with the curb stomp, and finally on the outside of the ring, Balor hitting the coup de grace. I was impressed with Elias' electric chair to a sit-out powerbomb on Reigns, and would foolishly attempt the same thing on Strowman to only hurt his back, and fell victim to Strowman's power slam to eliminate Elias from the chamber match. Cena attempted a crossbody to Strowman to only get caught and power slammed by the Monster Among Men, and Cena would get eliminated as well. Balor was poised to eliminate Reigns from the chamber match off the coup de grace he hit, but would get caught by Strowman with power slam, and once again got eliminated. Reigns and Rollins would team up for a short period of time to take it to Strowman, and when he was down on the outside, the action turned to Reigns and Rollins, which was heated to say the least. Rollins connected with a buckle bomb, only to field a Superman punch from Reigns. Also, for clarification purposes, Rollins' splash to Strowman off the pod was a traditional splash, and not the frog splash that Graves called on commentary. I may be nitpicking, but hey, I've done commentary for 8 years now, so I'm a stickler for good commentary. After connecting with 2 super kicks, Rollins would attempt a curb stomp on Strowman, only to get himself caught and power slammed, as Strowman eliminated Rollins from the chamber match, which left Strowman and Reigns. And with Reigns connected with not 1 but 2 spears, my heart sank, because the match I wanted to see at WrestleMania, and I think the majority of fans out there wanted to see, wasn't going to happen, as Reigns picked up the win and would suffer for it at the hands of Strowman, who power slammed him twice and sent him through a pod. Personal opinion, this was just as good as the Women's Elimination Chamber match. However, I wanted to see Strowman go over, not Reigns. I don't have any issues with Reigns, but I don't believe Reigns was the right choice to win this one. 3.25 out of 5. Time for our overall score and thoughts. I like how WWE started the show with the Women's Elimination Chamber match and finished with the men's, which kept the focus of the gimmick pay-per-view on the Elimination Chamber itself. I have my own reasons for not wanting to see Reigns win the Elimination Chamber match, as I have already stated, and I'm left wondering if they're going to further the Strowman-Reigns angle tonight on Raw, based on what Strowman did to him at the conclusion of the pay-per-view. The matches in between were quite alright as well. Overall score of the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view gets a 3.35 out of 5, with best match of the night going to the Women's Elimination Chamber match, and worst segment going to WWE, once again, shoving reins down our collective throats. Need I repeat myself? Well guys, that's been my thoughts on Elimination Chamber. What I want to know from you guys out there are your thoughts. What are your scores and your thoughts of Elimination Chamber? What was the best match? What was the worst match? I want to hear what you guys have to say. Be sure you put your comments in the comment section below. If you guys like this video, be sure you slam that like button like a champ. And if you guys want to see more wrestling talk with awesome gameplays, you know the two ways you got to do it. You got to leg drop the subscribe button and hit that bell icon to turn on notifications so that way you guys will never miss out on another video right here on my channel. Excuse me as my voice goes out. So with that being said, I am your friendly neighborhood wrestling gamer, running all of you guys out there to stay awesome. Bye guys.